Good evening, folks. Welcome back to the farm. Oh, the sun is bright. Right at the cusp. Right at the cusp where it's about to sneak in behind the shop over there. It's like burning a hole in my retinas. Anyways, just over here with the giant chicken tractor. Remember, this was the very first chicken tractor we ever had. And we put like 40 chickens in there. And what a chore the thing was to move around. Now, this is actually not really a chicken tractor. This was actually a carport is what this was. It was a 16-foot by 10-foot wide carport that you buy from Canadian Tire or whatever. And when we moved out here, we set it up down the hill, and because we didn't have the house or anything like that. At that time, we didn't even have the shop. I'm not sure why we put it down the hill, but we were using it for storage. And then one day, lessons learned, it's always windy here. But in those days, we didn't realize that until we found out. And it turned this thing inside out. It just like tore the legs right off of it. The tarp was just gone. So it was a salvage operation. So the roof was actually still intact. The walls and the base, no good for anything. Well, then we got into doing what we do. And I thought, man, wouldn't it be cool if we put just like a 2-foot pony wall and then just plunk that roof right on top of it. And I managed to salvage the old tarp. I had to cut some off that was torn up in the wind or whatever, but managed to salvage enough that we ran that as a chicken tractor for 3 years. Now, this year on the other side of the yard, on the other side of the house, we've got one of our 12-foot chicken tractors with some layer chicks in there. We got them out on grass a few weeks back. Turkeys, we found turkeys are a little bit more volatile. This is the first year. Well, it's the second year we've ever had turkeys. First year we've ever made it to this point. The first year we did it, we put them in the barn, and then within a matter of days, it seemed like they just went dead, fail. So pretty stoked to have kept them alive this long. But turkeys are, well, let me tell you, they're an interesting bird. Ugly, not very smart. Don't even taste that good, to be honest. For me, it's more of a sense of pride, kind of a challenge thing, that I could get an actual bird to about 35 pounds. But we're feeding them on this poultry grower that we get from our good friends over there at Bloom Enterprises, aka Millionaire Farmer. And they got quite the appetite on them. The beautiful thing about turkeys is that when they get to this age, they can get 70% of their caloric intake just from foraging. So it doesn't all have to be turkey grower. It can be grass. So now that the weather's nice, now that we're into, second week of June, something like that, figure we get them out into the turkey tractor. Now that this is the turkey tractor, not the chicken tractor anymore. As you can see, I had to make a modification to the door here because this was previously only this high and there was a big opening up here just to let air flow through. But them turkeys, they're nimble enough, they can hop up there and they'd be out and they'd be gone. And the coyotes would have them within a day, I'm sure. Anyways, you need 9 men and a billy goat, maybe a spotter or two to move this thing around. But I thought it was better than raising them in the barn because it kind of goes against everything we're all about. So there you have it. 10 foot, 16 foot, 10 foot wide, 16 foot long. A blue tarp from Canadian Tire, just, to replace the one that was all wore out after a few years. I think that tarp cost me like 26 bucks or something like that. So nothing breaks the bank. Everything else is just scrap wood, old chicken wire, just basically just all scraps that we had laying around the farm, including the roof after it got tumbled through the wind. And we've raised hundreds of pounds of meat in this thing. So I don't know. Give it a try. If you got an old mangled carport, in the afternoon, you can have yourself a fantastic chicken tractor. This right here, this is the Chicken Tractor 2.0. This is the new and improved version. And these are, what are they? I think they're 10 by 12 is what they are. Much lighter design, much lower to the ground. Again, mostly constructed with reclaimed materials. I think the only material that I actually purchased here was the 2x4 skid on the bottom. I did purchase the tin on the roof. I did a horse trade for a case of beer. I bought a whole lift of reclaimed tin that a guy was removing off of an old barn. So that was actually a pretty good deal. I've used that, lots of that tin on other little projects here. But what I did here is, again, a lesson off the old chicken tractor was that, you know, we get a lot of drag right here and at the very, very back as well. And so I positioned this 2x4 3/4 of an inch higher than the 2x4 on the sides so that it would allow it to glide, but it wouldn't allow it to, you know, basically run right over a bird essentially. Nobody could get out. Now you still have to be careful when you move it, because when you start to move it, I mean, even just me just being here, those chicks generally try to go huddle in the back, kind of in the danger zone. And then we've got a big 4 by 3 foot hatch here. We can get in and you can see I've got the feeder there. I didn't get a lid for that feeder, so I just cut the lid off of a barrel, and then that provides enough cover so that because they're layer chickens, they really like to get in there and roost. So they'll sit and roost on top of that feeder, and then they'll poop right in the feed holes. So that barrel lid works really good because it doesn't allow them to get any poop inside the trough, so to speak. And then just a 5-gallon water in there. I move this thing every day, get them fresh grass. Now chickens, of course, they're not going to forage nearly as much as a turkey. They get about 30 to 40% of their nutritional intake off of the grass. And you know, you can see kind of where they've been. There's a bit of an imprint there. It's hard to see, but boy, next spring, boy, there's just going to be a dark green strip right here where the chicken tractors were. And that's kind of the intent. It's organic fertilizer essentially. And I really like what it does for the soil. When I built this one, actually, neighbor started his truck. It's going to get real loud here because he's a young fella. Anyways, when I built this one, I was looking at a design that Joel Salatin had, and I thought, how can I make this with the materials that I have available, but still keep it light? And light was important, not because I can't pull it around, but because, you know what? I'm not always going to be the one to pull it around. If my wife's got to come out here one day, feed the chickens, move them, whatever it is, I can't have that hernia-inducing castle that's over there in this situation, right? So it's light. You can pull it around with one hand. Pretty handy, easy to move, takes 15-20 seconds. And generally when we're doing meat chickens, we'll do 1, 2, maybe even 3 in a row and just offset them and come down the hill, make the curve, and then come right back up. And we generally try to start close to between the shop and the brooder house. The little one is the brooder house. And make our lap all the way around the yard, fertilize, scratch and till, do wonderful things to the soil, and end up back there at the shop where we're close to where we're going to do our processing. Now there's lots of different designs out there for chicken tractors. Not one's right, not one's wrong necessarily, not one's even necessarily better than the other. But you got to think about what your application is and how you're going to use it, how your birds are going to need to use it. But it has to provide a couple of basic functions. So obviously shelter from inclement weather, predators, you name it. So we've got the tin all the way around, we've got the chicken wire around. Some people use hardware cloth, some people use tarps, but it accomplishes the same thing. It provides them with a draft-free, rain-free, still gets sunshine in, so you can get the benefits from a little bit of vitamin D, and you really do want it to be open still, even though it's sheltered. Still has to be open because, well, believe it or not, in the summertime you can bake a chicken in there, right? It's just a hot box. So having that ventilation is necessary, but also having a place where they can go to get out of the draft, get out of the weather. Very, very important. Isn't that right, Ranger? Yeah, good boy, good boy. Anyways, it's getting late on in the evening here, and I have to fix my wife's car up there. She's got a burnt out windshield washer fluid pump, and blew some fuses in there. Of course, it was raining at the same time, super convenient. So I better get after that and then probably fix myself up a cup of tea. So I'll let you go for now. Hope you're having a fantastic evening. We'll see you tomorrow.